I'm Len Goodman, and I'm a professor of philosophy at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm very interested in Islamic philosophy and in Jewish philosophy, and the big difference in my work is that in Islamic philosophy I'm a student, I'm an interpreter, I'm a very engaged interpreter, but in Jewish philosophy I read the classic texts, but I also am a participant in that tradition among those who are bringing the practice of Jewish philosophy back to life. I'm very committed to this project of exploring Scripture in terms of its philosophical message. One of my beliefs is that philosophy can take many different idioms, and if we're parochial or language bound or place bound or culture bound, we may miss the opportunity to learn from the insights of another era, of another culture, of another tradition. I mention, for example, that in Japanese, the koan is a vehicle of profound philosophical insights. They're brief, they're intuitive, they're riddling and questioning. They don't take the familiar form of an extended argument with numbered premises and variants on those premises, but they can be very profound and important. We find the same thing in Scripture. Scripture uses a lot of different idioms as the vehicles of its ideas. In Genesis we have a recasting and a radical critique of Babylonian mythology. We also have things that look like short stories. We have other things which are pronouncements, revelatory pronouncements, strikingly and climactically from Mount Sinai. Maimonides remarks that people may have difficulty understanding that philosophy doesn't have to be discursive. It can be revelatory. And we have to sometimes be able to translate. The great philosophers like Philo and Saja were able to translate the idiom of Scripture into a more discursive, argumentative, hypothetical, deductive kind of way of reasoning. And that ability to translate is extremely valuable. And it's one of the reasons why I prize the project that we're engaged in this week to try and explore Scripture for what it has to say to us. Its message is perennial. Its language is often very simple. It uses parable. It uses poetry. But through those different idioms, it conveys truths which are timeless and which are very relevant to philosophy. One final thought about that is that if we are parochial, we may miss out on what we can learn from a culture or a society or a spokesman or a prophet or a poet whose premises are different from our own, which might awaken us to realities and possibilities that we hadn't considered when we thought we had touched all the bases. So I'm extremely delighted to be taking part in this particular project, which is opening up that dialogue between philosophy, theology, and Scripture.